Good morning, I'm Chris Fox, and today we're talking about making your writing more compelling. Now, this tip is something that I wish I had access to a lot of years ago. It's something I learned just a couple of years back, and it really made a difference in my writing at the prose level. So, putting together sentences and paragraphs, less so, upper story structure level, more down at the prose level. And it's very simple. It's something you probably have already heard, and that's that you need to open loops with your reader. So you've got to get them to ask questions mentally. That's really your whole goal as an author. Get them to ask a bunch of questions, answer some of those questions, and then get them to ask more questions. For example, if our first sentence is, I have 8 seconds to live, that asks some pretty big immediate questions. Why does this person have 8 seconds to live? Are they really going to die in 8 seconds? Why 8 seconds and not 5 seconds or 10 seconds or a minute? What's going on? We've got some pretty big questions after just one sentence. If sentence number 2 is, I pull the ripcord, nothing happens, what does that conjure into your head? What does that evoke? So for me, I thought about a plane. I figured maybe they're falling out of a plane. I kind of envisioned the wind maybe ripping at their clothes. I sort of, saw myself looking up at the plane. And I don't know if yours is identical, but odds are good you had a similar set of information that sort of just cropped up in your head from that sentence. You heard ripcord and it pulled, and you're thinking parachute. The question, why is the parachute not working, is obviously a big one that might be cropping up in your head. I pull the ripcord, nothing happens. So in 2 short sentences, we've asked a whole bunch of questions, and we've gotten the reader to do most of the heavy lifting. They're building a situation in their head, and all we have to do when we add the third sentence is capitalize on that. We could describe the plane, which is going to confirm that they're falling to their death, and then we could transition into why the parachute isn't working and maybe what this person's going to do to live. Probably they're not going to die in 8 seconds, because otherwise that's going to be a very short story, but maybe that's the short story. Maybe they do die on impact. But the point is, you want to make sure that you're getting readers to build this context in their head. So you're opening loops, they have questions that they aren't able to answer, but they also have solid information that they can use to construct things in their head. And some of this they're going to do automatically, and it's almost always going to be them. So, for example, what gender was the character that you envisioned if you were thinking about somebody falling from a plane? It could be there was no gender because you didn't have enough information yet, but if there was a gender, it almost certainly matched your own. This is something that we do. We empathize with the character, and so wherever possible, we're going to fill in gaps in that character with our own lives. We're going to assume that identity. If you realize that as a writer, then what you can do is try to capitalize on that. This is why Twilight gets so much grief, because Bella is sort of a tabula rasa. We don't get a lot of description about who she is and sort of as a person, like how she really acts. And because of that, it makes it very, very easy for somebody to insert themselves into Bella as a character, and it's part of why that book was so popular. As a writer, that should be your goal. Not to write Twilight, but to make sure that you can create situations with your words that are asking the right kind of questions of your audience. So this is just a really quick tip. I'm hoping that it is useful. If this format is something that you guys want to see again, please let me know in the comments. I wanted to try something a little bit shorter and just one sort of actionable tip to see how that played. So let me know. Most of the recent videos have been longer, and if you guys want me to stick more to that format, I certainly can. Give me whatever feedback you feel is appropriate. But thanks for sticking with me and watching the video. I'm going to get back to the writing.